Hey, what's going on, CoinUp TV subscribers? Robert Welkner here, and in this video, I want to do a review of another Shaw Brothers classic wuxia movie. This time it is called Lady of Steel, which I have a Blu-ray here from the Shout Factory Shaw Brothers Classics Collection Volume 2. That's a mouthful there. It's paired up with Brothers 5, which I haven't watched yet, so I'll probably watch Brothers 5 next in my Blu-ray player there. This is from 1970, Lady of Steel, director Ho Meng-Hua. I'm going to give you my letter grade at the end of this video. First, I want to get to the synopsis from IMDb, and I have my notes on my TV screen here, so let me read those off. So, Lady of Steel IMDb synopsis: a young swordswoman named Fang Yingqi sets out to join a gathering of the martial arts world's leading warriors under the banner of Lord Jia and the Flying Dragon clan. Their mission is to defend their country against invading forces. So this movie is about treachery, greed, backstabbing, intrigue, disguises. This movie stars Cheng, Pei-Pei, who's in a lot of these early Shaw Brothers movies. She really was kind of the basis for the foundation for a lot of these wuxia swordswoman movies. I was listening to the commentary on there, and he was talking about how she's considered by many as the first female action star. So that's an achievement right there. We also get Yueh is in this movie as well. He kind of plays this beggar clan leader, martial arts expert with amazing teeth for a beggar, amazing smile, amazing hair. So let's see here. What did I kind of did this a little different. I wrote down sort of the pros and cons and, you know, a couple things on my notes. So we get the usual tropes. We get a woman mistaken for a man by numerous people. It's from the Ho Meng-Hua, the same director as like the Flying Guillotines, Killer Darts. We get his usual thing with people throwing darts, people throwing flying daggers, or just daggers in general as weapons. We get storming of the stronghold. That's common in these. It look like the same stronghold as another movie I saw before. We also get this underground lair with some traps. We get some silly stuff. We get a scene where a horse runs and jumps over a big giant, like 10-foot high fence, which I don't think is really possible. I think the horse would stop before doing that. But you know, anything's possible when with that. And that actually gave me a chuckle. We even get a little song singing with Cheng Pei-Pei in the middle of the movie there. So these are all like the familiar tropes that we've seen in a lot of these early Shaw Brothers movies that I've been watching a lot for the first time in these collections. And it feels like, okay, we've got the ingredients here and we've got the characters and we've got a lot of the fun stuff, but it just feels like a lot of it misses the mark. It feels like the story, the thread of the story just misses the mark for me. I felt like instead of getting, you know, a bag of Fruit Loops cereal and all the great colors and that familiar taste in your mouth and all that sugary high, I felt like I was getting like a knockoff brand of Fruit Loops or some sort of cereal, and things looked kind of familiar. It just didn't taste as great, or it didn't, you know, settle my stomach as great. So that's kind of what my takeaway is with Lady of Steel. So let me get to some of the pros and the cons. We've got the unique and colorful characters, the costumes, the art direction, all of that stuff is there. It's fun to watch. We get some carryover characters from Come Drink With Me that are familiar, called Cheng Pei-Pei, one of the villains. I think his name is Smiley something in Come Drink With Me. He has a prominent role in this movie. The setup of the story is engaging. It got me hooked. I was like, okay, I'm off and running. And I like the Beggar clan. It had some very interesting characters. Apparently the guy doing the commentary on this, film critic Ian Jane, he said that Jackie Chan was one of the beggars. I didn't notice that. He's like, oh, it's about the 15-minute mark, but he said it in the commentary about 50 minutes in, and I was like, okay, well, if I rewatch this a third time, I'll have to look for Jackie Chan. But the Beggar clan was interesting. I actually kind of wish we would have stayed a little more with them. I would have liked to seen a little more of their story, their origins, how they live, how they learn martial arts, or what the hierarchy is of their clan. There's actually a very funny beggar character, this older man, older gentleman. It doesn't look like he has any teeth. He might have been a real homeless person, or real, it seems like an extreme character actor, for this role. But he pickpockets a few people multiple times. Actually, I think he does it 3 times, and all 3 times it's like a perfect. He rolls a crit on pickpocketing skills. Nobody sees what's happening. He's just like, boom, got my hand on some money here. Boom, got the keys to get out of the lock. Boom, I got another purse full of some gold and some silver tails. I got a big laugh out of that. I was like, you know what? I'll follow this guy back to camp, and I want to learn more about the beggar clan and what his story is, and if he actually knows martial arts, or if he's just like the creeper who sneaks up behind people during fights and, gets the purse there. So, there is another pros. I did like kind of the final fight scene. We do get like a lot of we go into the little lair there with some traps and people jumping around on the rooftops, and that's all kind of fun, a little silly, a little over the top, but okay, I was in for it. Let me get to the cons now. As the story develops, I mentioned that I like the way things kicked off, but a con is, as the story develops, it becomes messy, or unfolds messily. That's a messy way of saying that it's messy. It's difficult to follow what's happening, and we get introduced to characters. We're not quite sure if they're traitors, if they're heroes, villains. A lot of deceit, disguises, intrigues. I feel like even the hero of our story, Cheng Pei-Pei, is sort of lost in her own movie. She's doing things and not understanding why, and she's misunderstanding things, and you just want to kind of grab her and kind of say like, hey, even the leader of the beggar clan is like, you're fighting the wrong people, you got to wise up. But it feels like she falls into this trap multiple times, and it gets a little frustrating with watching Cheng Pei-Pei try and figure this out. It's not really clear who the real villain is or who the real traitor is. I mean, I guess you got the one guy with the dagger who killed Cheng Pei-Pei's family years ago. I guess he's kind of the main traitor, but I feel like there was even somebody above him that we never really see. She meets this guy on the roadside, and she assassinates him, takes his wardrobe and impersonates him. Disguises as a man. She disguises as a beggar. She disguises as a man a couple of times, I feel like. And I didn't really understand why she assassinated that guy. That kind of went off the rails, and apparently he was in the scene earlier, very shortly. Again, I got a little confused. I don't know if I'm just getting uninterested in some of these or what, but these are my cons. So, and I wrote down in my notes, I was like, for a martial arts expert, she sure does a lot of sneaking around and assassinating attempts. And, it seems like the opposite of like the martial arts expert, the wushu. I mean, I guess she's still a student, not quite the expert, but man, she's just getting manipulated this whole time. And her redemption arc, kind of finally pays off a little bit at the end there, but anyway, let me get to my lead grade. Lady of Steel, I'm going to give it a D-. I didn't hate watch this movie. I watched it twice. We got the commentary on the Shout Factory Blu-ray by cult film critic Ian Jane, and we get some trailers. I don't know if I've heard him speak on one of these commentaries before. Very, very academic, very studious. Props. He talked about a lot of the Cheng Pei-Pei's roles in other movies and some of the other characters in some of the other movies. So that was a fun to listen to. So if you've seen this movie, let me know in the comments below what you think of Lady of Steel. Thanks a bunch for watching for Coin Op TV. We'll see you next time.